kind introduction. I'll just quickly share my slides. So the outlet, I wanted to say that we have been talking extremely academic stuff so far about the disease mechanism and treatment in pregnancy. And suddenly we are taking kind of like a jump to something which deals with technology. And I think that endocrinology and diabetes is an area of medicine which is uniquely poised to make the maximum out of technology. So in this slide, this is a reaction that I thought that everybody would have the minute I talk about diabetes technology, because then you're thinking that she's going to talk about CGMS and insulin pumps and lots of complicated stuff, which every conference, I think there are very, very big talks now. Well, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to start with a very simple agenda. What exactly do we mean when we say harness technology? How does it make our life easier in the diabetes clinics? And in our practice, how we can use technology to address relevant areas and use minimum technology for maximum effect. So you don't have to have lots of complicated technology. You could use very simple technology to make your practice more fruitful. So what does harness mean? So the word harness comes from actually that you have a horse who has a lot of power, but if it is unbridled, then the horse is of no use to us. It's only when you put a harness on the horse that you can lead the horse in the direction that you want them to go. So even when we deal with technology, we know a lot of downsides of technology. We all are harassed by patients sending us WhatsApp messages and emails and calling us at all times of day and night, often disturbing us, during our personal life, and we get extremely irritated. But we could also use technology in a different way to kind of make our life easier and to not only be successful professionally, but also to guard our personal life. So to harness is to control something and to use its power for our own benefit. And that is what we should be doing with technology. I think this is the reality of our practice right now in India, is that ours is a volume-based care. We are seeing a large number of patients in a very short period of time. And Dr. Chitra Selvan and I, we actually did a survey of about 1,000 endocrinologists and diabetologists practicing across our country. And we asked them how much time they spent with the patient. And on an average, a new diabetes patient, we spend about 10 to 12 minutes, and a follow-up patient, we spend 4 minutes. Now, I just want you to imagine this in your mind, that it's a new diabetes patient. You have 10 minutes. You need to talk about why the person got diabetes, the pathophysiology of diabetes, the complications which can happen if you don't take care of diabetes. They will ask you questions on diet. They will ask you questions on physical exercise. You also have to write the medications, explain them how to take the medications. They will ask you about side effects of the medication, when to follow up, and what tests to do when they come for follow-up. Now, if you imagine talking all of this in 12 minutes for a newly diagnosed diabetes patient, you are not going to be satisfied with what you have communicated with the patient. The patient is also not going to be satisfied with the amount of information they've received. And I think all of us will have this typical patient with diabetes where aapka pura consultation ho gaya, and in the end they will ask, doctor sahab, fruit kaun sa khana hai? And you are like pulling your hair out, because here you're talking about urine infection related to SGLT2 inhibitors. You want them to understand about retinopathy, and all the patient cares about is which fruit he can or cannot eat. So this is one of the drawbacks of volume-based care when we see a large number of patients, and in a limited time period, you need to communicate lots of stuff to the patient. So these are one of the issues that you have in volume-based care. So a lot of doctors tell me, oh, you know what, but I have this team. I don't do any of this. I have a diabetes educator, nutritionist. They manage everything. I don't have to do anything. But unfortunately, what happens is by the time you actually train one staff member, you teach them everything that has been taught. Very soon that staff member may leave, and you now have to train somebody all over again. So having a fallback where you're not dependent on a human, but you have videos, website links, FAQs already prepared, which you can share with your patient, can also take over a lot of this extra talking that you have to do. If you don't do, the staff has to do. And in case the staff leaves, then you have to train somebody all over again. One of the other issues is, so this is a paper I wrote, which is based on the curve of forgetting. So, we are very excited to tell our patients all about the new advances in diabetes treatment. You want to tell them about the new medication, how it's great for the kidney, it's great for the heart. There's lots of stuff we want to tell our patients. But unfortunately, most of our patients will forget 40% of what you've told them in the first 24 hours after the clinic visit. And by the time the first 2 days have passed of your clinic visit, they only remember about 40% of what you've told them. And 60% they've already forgotten. So to ensure effective communication in the diabetes clinic, what you need is reinforcement. Until and unless you reinforce what you've communicated to the patient, they're not going to remember it. We give detailed prescriptions. Nobody really looks at the prescriptions. So finding a way where you can reinforce your instructions is very important. Instructions which the patient or education to the patient can listen to in the comfort of their own home during their own free time. That is very important. And of course, after you've completed the consultation, you gave about 12 minutes, you explained whatever you thought was relevant, and the minute the patient reaches home, doctor, you didn't tell me whether the sitagliptin has to be taken before breakfast or after breakfast. You didn't tell me whether it was after breakfast, so it is immediately after breakfast or it is 30 minutes after breakfast. So in spite of probably doing everything, that you have a dream clinic, you have a good diabetes educator, nutritionist, you've given them a very good prescription, you spent ample amount of time, but this one detail is left and the patient is back again with a query, which is very intrusive again. And after a long day to come back home and then again troubleshoot, send back messages is very difficult. I think one of the last problems that we have is a diabetes educator, nutritionist, and endocrinologist or diabetologist is actually not the entire team. And what you would like is also to maybe provide an exercise specialist, a physical therapist to advise the patient on exercise. Most of the time we tell the patient, abhi na aap lifestyle ka thoda dhyan rakho. So they don't understand anything, they do nothing, and they come back in 3 months with the same HbA1c report. So if we truly want to make a difference in our patients' lives, we also need to explain about physical therapy. A lot of our patients are very distressed with diabetes. They have depression, they have anxiety, they don't take the medications because they think they're going to die anyway. And this is a reality that all of us face in the diabetes clinic. So having a psychologist on board can be very valuable. And of course, then you have a team like cardiologists, ophthalmologists to look for complications. So most of our clinics, we're not able to provide multidisciplinary care. So let's talk about how we can use technology in the next few slides to kind of take care of some of these areas. So I think it's very important to improve clinic experience. So when I alluded to volume-based care, so there's a beautiful startup which is called as Leapfrog to Value. Leapfrog to Value has written a beautiful paper on how we need to move from volume-based care to value-based care, where we take into account not only the medical outcomes and the scientific issues that we are dealing with, but also what the patient wants. What are the outcomes that are important to the patient? What is their experience in the clinic? What would they like in a consultation? And this is what we describe as patient-centered care and patient-important outcomes. And this is going to be the future, as much as we would like to deny, and we think we're doing a great job for our patients. But this is what the next generation of patients are going to expect. We also want to look at euglycemia. We want to maintain euglycemia, and we can use technology to avoid hyper and hypoglycemia. We'd like to support our patients for lifestyle modifications, reduce diabetes-related distress, and also give them meaningful education about diabetes. I think the first thing that we could do is improve the clinic experience for a patient. This can be done in several ways. Having a seamless appointment experience where patients are able to book even a clinic appointment online. It saves a lot of time, energy, stress for the patient. Patient can get clear guidelines that before they come for the consultation, what are the things that they need to bring with them? What is the information that is relevant? You will all remember a patient who comes and sits in front of you and then starts with कि 30 साल पहले वो क्या हुआ था कि मुझे पैर में ना खुजली आ रहा था, तो खुजली के लिए मैं डॉक्टर के पास गया था, फिर डॉक्टर ने बोला कि शुगर चेक करो. Right? Now this is not relevant maybe to you to make the current treatment plan. but to explain this to the patient is extremely difficult. So if you have a process where a patient can already upload a brief summary of their disease or their condition, what are the queries they're coming with in this consultation, and if you already know this beforehand, so before the patient walks in, you just go through that brief question answer, that whatever the queries he has, what is his brief history, and then you see the patient. So I know a lot of doctors have assistants who take the BP, take the weight, take the height, and write down the complaints. But this is not what I'm talking about. I'm asking you to ask the patient to already share what are the specific queries they're coming with for this consultation. So a lot of times, if that is already there before the consult, you know what you need to address, and you can kind of optimize the consult. A nutritional consultation prior to the doctor visit can be very valuable. And I'll just show you in the next few slides how that is possible. Giving an electronic prescription with all details, including diet tips, how much exercise, how frequently, how many calories you want to take them, what are the things you want them to avoid. If it's in a written form, then patient can go back and refer to it. And of course, you can support your patient beyond the clinic. See, you see the patient for 10 minutes, 4 times a year, which is 40 minutes. The person spends 24/7 with their diabetes, and 40 minutes is just not enough. So if you could give them links to appropriate apps, platforms, websites, patient support groups, which help them to solve their queries in a scientific manner and support them in their management of diabetes, it's extremely important. So a lot of times we get very angry when patients, explore alternative therapy, or they go onto these health platforms which promise them cure of diabetes or freedom from diabetes. But I also think that there is a lot of lacunae in the care that we offer, which probably sometimes forces people to kind of explore alternate avenues. So I'll give you just an example. So this is the online booking page for my website, where I've given a set of instructions to patients before booking the appointment, what they need to do. We also request them to always upload their previous prescription and their reports prior to the consultation, and we ask them to give brief information on their problem prior to coming for the consultation. So before they come, I quickly look at the problem statement, I look at the reports, I look at the prescription. I already have a plan ready in my mind by the time the patient walks in. This really helps to cut down the consultation time, but still offer appropriate care. What we also do is we give the patient very specific instructions, that sometimes when you ask the patient, send your prescription, then they will say, oh, but I have never seen you before. Then you will explain that, no, but I want to know what medicines you were taking before. Then doctor साहब मैं एक पीली गोली लेता हूँ और वो गुलाबी वाली गोली लेता हूँ, सुबह ये 4 गोली लेता हूँ, शाम को वो 2 गोली लेता हूँ. It becomes extremely exasperating. So whichever is the current medication you are taking, either send a prescription or click a photograph and upload it prior to coming. We need fasting postprandial HbA1c done in the last 30 days, because the patient will come with a report which is 4 months old. Then he will come, he will take your time, then again you will advise the reports, he will come back again and again take another 20 minutes. So if they already have the relevant reports, it's great. Then in diabetes, we ask for serum creatinine, then urine albumin creatinine ratio, ECG कब किया था, आँख का test कब किया था. Now, if a person has done a complete health checkup in the past 1 year, they can just upload those reports prior to coming to you. You already have a look at them. You already know what the kidney status is, what the heart status is. It just makes deciding the treatment so much easier. And last but not least, I think the most time is taken by patients who ask about diet. So what we do is ask them to send a diet recall prior to coming. My nutritionist already sees this diet chart the day before the consultation. She's already had a plan ready. She already knows what are the things she needs to discuss, and then we take it from there. So this is a patient, I'm giving you an example, a gestational diabetes patient who I was going to consult on, say, Tuesday morning. So on Monday evening, my nutritionist has already spoken to the patient. She already has all the details, the height, the weight, what are the gestational weeks, what are the current blood sugars, and she's already done a complete diet recall. Now, when you look at this diet recall, your treatment course is clear, that you're probably not going to start any medications. If she just cuts out the sugar, the 4 slices of bread, the big bowl of rice, and the pizzas and burgers in the evening, her blood sugars are going to be normal. And this is exactly what we did. We did a diet consult, we checked the fasting and all 3 post meals. 2 days later, the values were absolutely normal. Even though she was 36 weeks pregnant, we didn't need to give any treatment. So this just really makes the consultation so much easier because your plan is ready before you see the patient. Give them links to good diabetes foundations who do very good work. This is the Diabetes Foundation run by Jazz Sethi. This is the Blue Circle Diabetes Foundation, which is run by Lupur Lalwani. These are very good sites. They have very comprehensive information about type 1 diabetes. Blue Circle also has information about type 2 diabetes. Let them go to scientifically curated sites to get their information instead of randomly Googling their queries. Or you could also have a website which addresses all their queries. Now, how do we maintain euglycemia in the clinic? Again, I'm not going to talk about CGMS because that is spoken at every conference. I'm going to talk about a little different thing. So now whenever you initiate insulin for a patient, so what do? Time is taken to show them how to take the insulin, what is the dose to be taken, what is the timing to be taken, how to monitor the blood sugars, and how to titrate the insulin. So what we've done is we've just made 2 simple videos of fasting blood sugar and basal insulin titration, post-meal blood sugar, and bolus insulin titration. All we do is we share the video with the patient, and then if there are any queries, they get back to us. So this saves at least 20 minutes of your diabetes educator where you're trying to teach them how to titrate the insulin. All you need to do is show them the technique in the clinic with you, share the video about the titration and technique, and then if there are any queries, then you can sort them out. You can give them the target that they need, and then they can learn how to titrate their insulin on their own. This will cut down the number of SMSs and calls that you get for whether to increase the insulin is not working, humko hypoglycemia ho gaya. We also have a video for hypoglycemia that we share with the patient. If this is the sugar, these are the symptoms, this is what you have to do. If the blood sugar does not correct in this much time, then you need to go to the nearest hospital instead of calling me up. So this really improves, optimizes your time utilization, but also empowers the patient to take care of the diabetes on their own. For type 1 diabetes, there are a lot of bolus calculators which are available online. You can guide them to an appropriate one which you are comfortable with to teach them how to calculate their bolus. So this is useful for type 2 diabetes, for gestational diabetes. This is useful for type 1 diabetes. So now that we've looked at a smooth consultation experience where your 10-15 minutes are used in the best way possible, you've empowered the patient to troubleshoot low and high sugars, titrate their insulin. You also want to motivate them and help them to maintain lifestyle modifications beyond the clinic. In those 10 minutes, you will say bakery product mat khao, or fried food mat khana, shakkar avoid kar lena, or exercise kar lena. Now this patient, the first question they will ask is, लेकिन डॉक्टर साहब फिर ये सब अवॉइड करना है तो खाना क्या है? So that is one major issue that patients have. Second is, कितना exercise करना है? Can I do Zumba? Can I do this? Can I do that? Those questions. Over and above that, who will monitor the patient? When the patient comes back in 3 months and says, डॉक्टर साहब मैं सब कुछ कर रहा हूँ, and then you find that they're actually doing nothing. So this patient, the one who consulted me, she told me that my diet is already sorted. मैं already healthy diet खा रही हूँ, and this is what she was eating. So helping your patients to have apps or platforms which support them in maintaining their nutrition, maintaining the exercise between appointments can be very useful to ensure that they actually do the lifestyle modifications. Now see, just look at it very practically. What is your aim? Aim is to reduce HbA1c and reduce complications of diabetes. All we keep telling our patients is sugar control करो वरना आँख खराब हो जाएगी, sugar control करना वरना heart खराब हो जाएगा. But lot of times we're not providing them with the information of how to actually get the HbA1c down. Medication is one part of the diabetes treatment. All the other parts, the diet, the exercise, the psychological distress is equally important. So these are carbohydrate counting apps. These are workout apps which the patient can use. This is a beautiful platform. There's a digital health technology which is run by a doctor. I use this extensively because their office is right here in Navi Mumbai. It becomes extremely easy for me to coordinate, and they offer very good comprehensive solutions for diabetes where patient is monitored intensively for 3 to 6 months. And I use a lot of this in motivated patients who have a lot of questions, but I don't have the time. They have a dedicated nutrition coach who calls them every week, solves all their problems, and then you don't get those messages where your patient is sitting in the restaurant and saying, "Doctor, can I eat pani puri?" I've had those messages. Now they're going to trouble that coach who is paid to do it, and she will answer those queries, and it's not going to interfere with your practice. This is also precision nutrition, which we do, where we do very detailed analysis of the patient's food, how the sugar is rising, explaining to them about what food is making their sugar go up, what food they need to avoid. All of this is not possible in a busy clinic. We need to outsource all of this intensive work to somebody else to ensure that our patients have good outcomes. You can have detailed nutritional analysis, calories, carbohydrate, protein. They can be explained what they've eaten, what it contains, but all of this detailed information cannot be done by us. It needs to be done by somebody else. And only when you expand your practice to this level of precision can we truly get the results we want in our patient. So they're even telling the patient that what food has zinc, what does Rajma Chawal have, how much protein it has. Each and every food can be broken down and seen. They also send self-care app messages, engaging content. And I'm not saying that this particular app is what you need to use, but you need to find something which works for your practice and share it with your patients so that they can optimize their diabetes management. A lot of meditation apps, gratitude apps, spiritual apps are available where they can track their stress levels and help to kind of troubleshoot that. There are a lot of apps available which give comprehensive diabetes management, right from what is the pathophysiology, what are the symptoms, what are the danger signs, what are the complications they need to look for. And using all of this technology to provide a comprehensive consultation for your patient is what is keeping us between a good optimal HbA1c. All of us, when we look back at our practice, we are all seeing a lot of patients. But how many of our patients truly are at an HbA1c of 7%? And I do not expect an overburdened treating physician to be able to do all of this. This is humanly impossible. So once all of the work is done, the only job of the doctor is to reinforce this, because ultimately they want to hear it from the doctor's mouth. So your only job is to troubleshoot, solve the queries, the final queries that they may have, and reinforce all of this education so that they can learn to manage the diabetes on their own as much as possible. But you keep the medication management to yourself, and that is what you find you. Thank you so much.